Smell us now, lady. Welcome to MeatEater Trivia.
MeatEater Podcast.
Welcome to MeatEater Radio Live. It's 11 a.m. Mountain Time. That's 1 p.m. for our friends in Simpsonville, Kentucky on Thursday, May 29th. And we're live from MeatEater HQ in Bozeman. I'm your host, Spencer, joined today by Cal and Brody. On today's show, we'll talk to Ellen and her mushroom hunting dog, Noodle. Then we'll find out how much Cal and Brody know about their fellow outdoorsmen with a game of meat pole. After that, we've got 1 minute fishing with Kristine Fischer in Oklahoma, followed by an interview with Brock Wahl about the newly formed North American Pronghorn Foundation. And finally, we've got a hot tip-off with a special guest judge about parenting in the outdoors. First, Cal, Brody, I don't want a hunting update. I don't want a fishing update from you guys. I want a garden update. How the garden's looking?
Garden's in. I mean, it's early days,
okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm. What's going to be different this year, Brody?
Oh, we do something different every year. I let the boys pick. We're doing some corn this year, which will be new for us.
Okay. That was of interest to them?
Yeah, that's what they wanted.
So what'd you leave behind to
I just like buying the $6, like $6 for $3, pack of corn at the grocery store.
Okay.
But yeah, standard stuff: tomatoes, cucumbers, strawberries, pole beans, lots of herbs, just standard stuff.
You feeling optimistic this year?
Oh yeah, man! I grow an awesome garden every year.
It doesn't
Kicks ass.
Just go to hell when you leave for a week to go fishing at Fort Peck or something?
No.
No.
I just water the shit out of it and then put mulch down, and it's good. Like, as long as it's later. If you did that this time of year, you'd be trouble. But in August, it's
okay. Cal, give us a garden update. How are things looking?
We had a real serious talk, the lady and I, and came to the conclusion that it's just not worth doing a garden this year.
Oh, okay.
Because of lots of overlapping travel. Like, nobody, and, it's just not a high producer anyway with our setup. So we have garlic and onions.
Okay.
Which are pretty decent staples. Yeah. But my mom is, if anybody needs a sweet little farm outside of the Billings, Montana area, the folks are selling out 90 acres irrigated right outside of Shepherd. It's a sweet spot. Kill geese there all the time.
How many trees are on this property?
Trees?
Yeah.
Or tree stands?
Well,
a bunch of cottonwoods.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would they fit it? Would a tree stand fit in one of them?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you would attract wildlife because it is like zero habitat anywhere around there.
Okay.
Because it is just wall to wall farming.
Good salesman.
But yeah, great spot. And if it just weren't so many people, I'd be buying that thing. Anyway, she's got a tremendous garden. Always has. And
comes with the farm.
And now it's pretty funny because it's just like all the volunteer stuff that's coming up. And so we picked cilantro and lettuce and hit the asparagus patch. And this is where the conflict comes in. We're pulling asparagus, right? Because I'm like, yeah, you guys aren't, place is going to sell.
Okay.
And pulling asparagus. And my mom's like, what the hell are you doing? You got to cut that off beneath the soil line or it won't grow back.
Okay.
And I was kind of like, well, you guys are leaving. Anyway. But then hop on a plane, go to Wisconsin, see Bubbly Doug, and out there at the Duran farm, they have a tremendous asparagus patch.
Oh.
And I notice that Doug's lovely wife, Trish, a.k.a. Trish the Dish, as I like to call her.
Who else calls her that?
Nobody. I'm trying to establish it, though.
Okay.
And, she is such a sweet person that I just try to make sure that Doug knows that as well. And he does.
Okay.
But amazing asparagus patch. And none of them are cut off low.
Oh.
And so I said, Trish, man, what's the deal? Aren't you supposed to? And she's like, yep, you are. I just never do, and look at the results.
I just saw a Facebook argument about this, like last week, about the same thing. Someone was mad at their neighbor for stealing from their ditch asparagus patch.
And doing it the wrong way?
Well, not only were they thieving it, but also those MFers were doing it the wrong way by not taking it down to the soil. It seemed like in the comments, folks were mostly on their side, saying you have to take it off below the soil. And then there were other people saying it doesn't matter. Never noticed a difference.
Yeah, I mean, there's foraging etiquette rules, right?
Sure.
That we should all live by. Because if done properly, it's going to be there year after year after year.
You hear the same thing said with morel mushrooms?
Yeah.
That, like, you're supposed to cut instead of pull. That one is totally false. You
Yeah,
can
leave
pull
the
those
stumps in
things-
the ground.
You can pull those things right out of the ground. That's like plucking an apple off of a tree. You're just taking the apple. Even if you pull the whole thing out, you're not taking the whole tree away. All that mycelium underneath is still going to produce a mushroom if it wants to the next year. That little stump isn't going to help or hurt anything.
Yeah, but they'll grow in clumps, right? So I've like gone back and picked the same spot
Sure.
during that same like week-long period of real fruit harvest, right? And have seen plenty of mushrooms growing up next to stumps. But I know you're right.
Yeah.
It's just,
It's hard to break that.
yeah.
It's also a little cleaner if you take the whole thing off. Like if you pull it out of the ground,
You're gonna get some
getting
dirt.
like 5 to 10% more mushroom, but you might trim that off at home anyway.
Yeah. And then in the bag, that dirty stump's rolling around.
Sure.
And it's getting in the gills of the mushrooms, and it's just more cleaning.
Plus, you can look at it two ways. Either you are letting other folks know, because I'll come across someone else's morel stumps.
Oh, which
and I'll
is
be like,
horrible.
damn it, they beat me here.
It's like coming across a giant surface poop with tons of white flagging all over the place.
Yeah.
Or a big gut pile.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
exactly. Fresh boot tracks that come in from some. You're the only truck at the trailhead.
Yep.
Fresh snow on the ground to set the scene. Hell of a blizzard the night before. The time, like everything's right. You're the first person there.
One
Right.
set of tracks, and you're like, that whole spot's blown.
Yeah,
out.
and for whatever reason, somebody hiked over the hill from a different angle, and you cut boot tracks about a mile in.
Yep.
Then you're just like, oh man.
So when I find those stumps, someone else has bested me. They've like got me there, but now I know there were morels there.
Yep.
So they're leaving me a little bit of information.
Yeah. It's like people who have to put a trail camera up everywhere.
Speaking of foraging, let's get to our first interview. Joining us on the line now is Ellen and her mushroom hunting dog, Noodle. Ellen and Noodle, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
First thing, Ellen, tell us about Noodle. How old is she? What kind of dog is she? Where'd you get her?
So Noodle is 4.5 years old. I got her actually, it was a long story of kind of fate how I ended up with her, but I ultimately picked her up at a children's rodeo in Northern California. She's a half lab, half border collie, as far as I know, from an unwanted litter.
Okay, and we can see Noodle. Noodle is with Ellen right now for the interview. You should go watch this episode. You'll get to see the dog we're talking about, plus Phil has some photos of Noodle foraging. Now, how have you ever met another mushroom hunting dog in your life?
You know, I've spoken to a couple people online who are maybe training or trying to, and I actually used to live in Italy where a lot of people use truffle dogs. So I was inspired by that. Oh, you want your ball, huh? And so that did inspire me, but I haven't met anybody in person yet. I'd love to meet up with somebody else who has a mushroom dog, though.
Okay, and how long has Noodle had this special talent?
So I taught her about 3 years ago. She was a little over a year old when I first taught her our first Morel season.
And tell us about the training process for teaching Noodle to find mushrooms.
Yeah, so there's a lot of info out there on kind of proper scent training protocol. I'll just say I didn't do any of that. I just kind of winged it out in the woods one day. I pointed to a morel and I just said, "Where's the mushroom?" She sniffed it. I immediately threw a stick for her because she is one of these dogs. She's just absolutely fetch crazy. She will die trying to get that ball. So I threw a stick for her. I called her back to the same morel, pointed at it, threw the stick again. Then I went to a third morel, and she really, within 15 minutes, had just cracked the code. And she was off running 200 feet away, just waiting for me to throw the ball for her.
That's that
great.
Labrador brain right there.
Exactly.
Now, what was the most challenging part of teaching Noodle to find mushrooms?
Honestly, it was surprisingly easy, but I'd say at the beginning, it was a little hard to get her to differentiate, okay, which mushrooms are good, which mushrooms are bad. But she figured it out quickly. It's like if she sniffed the wrong kind of mushroom, I'm like, no, that's not a mushroom. You don't get a stick. So she figured it out fast.
Now, in most videos, I see Noodle finding morel mushrooms. What are the other good mushrooms that she'll help you find?
So she has about 7 varieties. We do morels. We taught her chanterelles afterwards. Then matsutake. We do porcini. Candy cap she taught herself, which was pretty annoying because she saw me collecting them, and then she was like, I want to get in on this, and started trampling them. But we also do black trumpets, if I didn't say that one.
Okay. It sounds like Noodle has taught herself this skill for the most part.
Pretty
Now,
much.
how does she alert you when she finds a good mushroom?
You know that position that dogs get in when they're waiting for you to throw the ball and they're kind of crouched down, just at attention? She just crouches by the mushroom and gets that alert look on her face. And if I don't see it, I'll often say, show me. And then she taps it with her nose. And if she thinks I'm being a total idiot and I really can't see it, she smacks it with her paw, and occasionally she knocks them out of the ground completely.
That's awesome.
Extra helpful. Now, you said the reward is throwing a stick or a ball. That's what you do every time she finds a good mushroom?
Yeah, if it's a good one. If it's a little nasty, I say, that's nasty, find another. Or if she's really found a cluster and she's going from mushroom to mushroom, I say, all right, you have to just lay down and wait for me to collect all of these, and then you'll get your reward.
That's great. Now, morels are not toxic for dogs. Does Noodle ever get to eat them or express any interest in eating them?
Well, I will actually clarify that a bit, because while morels are not toxic, they're actually toxic raw. And there was even a poisoning that included some deaths in the last few years, I believe in Montana. That's kind of highly debated in the mushroom world. But they are toxic raw for both humans and dogs. So always cook your morels super thoroughly. You basically can't overcook them, but don't eat them raw. She'll occasionally bite them or lick them. Really not much of a bite. She's not enough to eat anything, but I have her pretty well trained on not eating food that I don't want her to eat. So I haven't actually given her any mushrooms before. I don't really want to give her much of a taste for it. I've heard with truffle pigs, one of the risks, because they're not quite as trainable, they will bite the owner's hands or the trainer's hand while the trainer's harvesting the truffle. So I want to avoid that more or less.
Yeah. What has been Noodle's best ever day of foraging?
Gosh, that's a tough one. Every time I train her in a new species. So I would say the second species I taught her in was chanterelles, and it actually took her a lot longer than the morels. We went up to Mendocino, and it's such a rich diversity of fungal activity. There were so many mushrooms everywhere. So she was getting distracted, but when she finally pinpointed, like, okay, these are the ones that she wants, she doesn't want any of these other ones, we found over 50 pounds in an hour or two, and I sold some to a restaurant. It was great. So that was a highlight for sure.
That is great. How has the morel season been for you so far this year in Northern California?
Yeah, it's been pretty hit or miss. I'd say we got hot. We didn't have great snowpack in the Sierra this season. It dried up a little quickly. So my lower elevation spots, like 3,000, that range, the mid-range, really dried up fast. And then now we're having I'm not having a bad season in the higher elevation.
Okay, good for you guys, good for Noodle. If folks want to follow along with you and Noodle's mushroom hunting adventures, how can they do so?
We've got an Instagram page. It's Really Good Noodle, and I've got a lot of videos of her running around in the woods, getting up to adventures together. And we do have TikTok as well, same name, not as active there though.
One of my favorite follows on social media is Ellen and Noodle. Thank you guys for joining us. Please tell Noodle she's a good girl, and we're very impressed with her foraging skills.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
That's sweet.
Cal, I love Snort. Snort's a great dog.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have a mushroom hunting dog.
I think
That's
good
special.
good hunting dog can hunt anything.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to see you teach snort. It sounds like if the dog is into it, there's not a lot to do.
Yep. And I mean, yeah, it's the prey drive plus the praise drive.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of praise does Snort get when she's being a good girl on a hunt?
Well, you know, like she doesn't want to be. I give her praise. Really, she wants food at the end of the day. But man, during a hunt, you can't hardly touch her. She's like,
her praise.
Get off of me.
Her praise is just finding a bird.
Right.
That's all she
yeah.
needs.
Leave her alone.
Oh, she wants that bird so bad. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, our next segment is Meat Pull.
Said, show me your meat, boys, and take my pull. Welcome to MeatEater Radio. I got a game to play.
Meat Poll is a test of how much you know about your fellow hunters and anglers. I surveyed 500 MeatEater listeners about the outdoors. Your job is to predict their answers. There are 3 questions. Whoever is closest to the correct answer between Cal and Brody gets a point, and whoever gets 2 points will be the winner. Also, the chat should play along because Phil is going to watch your answers and give a shout out to whoever is closest.
I'm not following. What if we both get 2 points?
There's only 3 questions, so that won't happen.
Oh, I got
One of you is going to get a point each question.
I got you.
And that's how we're going to settle this thing. All right, question 1. What percentage of MeatEater listeners have washed their pickup in the last month?
Are we supposed to write this down?
Write down an answer.
Now
Hide
watch.
your answer. That's right. What percentage of MeatEater listeners have washed their pickup in the last month? Now, for this question, I said for pickup owners only, which happened to be about 90% of folks who took the survey. So what percentage of those people have washed their pickup in the last month? Cal, when's the last time you washed your pickup?
I am not a good vehicle washer. Never, ever, ever have been.
Okay, that doesn't surprise me.
But part of my Memorial Day cleanup was vacuuming out the truck and with the dog hair and the sand and all the stuff. And then I did what I wasn't intending to wash the truck, but I needed to spray out the floor mats.
Okay.
Because they were real gnarly. And so I did end up hosing off the truck.
I bet I go through
crazy
a car
coincidence.
wash, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a year. Not that often. I'm conscious of it if I go on a hunt where I think I'm going to end up asking for permission.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I go knock on someone's door, and if I had just like a filthy, dirty, muddy pickup, they're going to be thinking, this guy wants to drive through my field. That's going to be a big no. Because one of the first things, if I do get permission, they'll say is just don't drive anywhere. Don't drive through any gates. Don't drive through any fields. So I try to be aware of that. I don't want to show up with a sparkling clean pickup either, because then that sends a different message. But if that thing just looks like I drove it through a big old mud puddle, that's no good for me.
No, it's not. Yeah, I mean, but there's also like the noxious weed side of things, right?
Sure.
Like
Yep.
vehicles are a huge vector for spreading bad things around.
Yeah, and that stuff, like you're driving around, say, out in eastern Montana in the gumbo, and that stuff gets glued to the bottom of your truck. Like,
Yeah.
you got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Hey Phil, do you have any bed of music to play while we do this?
Nothing original.
Oh, that's okay. Do you boys have an answer for what percentage of MeatEater listeners have washed their pickup in the last month? Go ahead and reveal your answers.
The one came
Oh,
off.
okay. All right.
See
Well,
it, so I'm not
Go
cheating?
ahead. Brody says 71%. Cal says 41%. The correct answer is 30.5%. So Cal gets that first point. 30.5% of MeatEater listeners have washed
Bunch
their
of
pickup
dirtbags not washing their stuff.
in the last month. One study showed that the average person washes their car 13 times a year.
Whoa.
That same study showed that 79% of people go to a car wash versus 21% of people who wash their car at home. But when it comes to the interior, the average person cleans the inside of their car once a year.
Whoa.
I just paid my boys to detail my truck.
Oh, are they? Can I hire them too?
Well, depends
they-
how much you want to.
what'd you
like,
charge-
The
what'd they
quality of the job is going to be based on how much you're willing to pay them.
What'd you pay 'em?
I was a little underwhelmed, and I had to up the ante.
Was it
for
about $50?
They split 50.
Okay. Did
Yeah.
it seem like a $50 job to you?
Yeah, it was worth it to me. I didn't want to spend a couple hours doing that. You know?
Montana Hunter said 28.
Oh, well done, Montana Hunter. You were 2 percentage points off. All right, question 2. What percentage of MeatEater listeners have ever bitten into a BB? What percentage of MeatEater listeners have ever bitten
You're talking
into
like
a BB?
any kind of pellet, like not a BB, like a BB gun.
Yeah, any kind of pellet.
Shotgun pellet.
But it does like bring
Thank
it
you,
down.
Phil. That ups that
Yeah, it
makes
does.
it so much better what we're doing here. What percentage of MeatEater listeners have ever bitten into a BB? Cal, how many BBs in your lifetime? I'm gonna guess like 5 or 6.
Oh, buddy, I got 2 cracked teeth in my face.
5 or
right
6 a
now,
year.
So, yeah. Oh yeah.
So how many? What's the number?
Oh,
20.
I was gonna say 30, but I
Okay.
thought that sounded dramatic. But it's definitely higher than 20.
Do you think you've gotten better or worse in your lifetime about cleaning BBs out of stuff?
Well, technology is a
Sure.
mother scratcher. Number 9 tungsten.
Yeah,
Holy cow, dude.
buried like
Oh,
in the bottom of a thigh or a breast. Yeah,
like you can't
you've
find that stuff.
Probably swallowed
Yeah.
several of them
Yeah.
without knowing they're
How about you, Brody? How many BBs have you bitten into?
dozens. Like, and I mean, like, there's degrees of biting too.
Uh-huh.
It's like, oh, I feel it, and I just spit it out, no big deal. And there's like, wham, you come down on it with
Yeah.
both molars. That's rough.
Yeah, I'm at single digits, but it's because the last experience was really bad where I'm like, I'm never going to let that happen again. I'm going to clean these things so thorough, or I'm going to cut the meat so thin. A BB is never going to make it onto my dinner plate.
Yeah.
in my
They just
lifetime.
find a way in there, man.
Yeah, when you get the one that where like there's like a mammalian spinal reflex that happens when you're
Yeah, it's almost like it's not. It's like as shocking as a bad electric shock.
Yes. Oh, yeah,
It
for
goes
sure.
all the way down your spine.
Ruins the meal.
yeah.
So what percentage of MeatEater listeners have ever bitten into a BB? Are you boys ready?
Sure.
Yep.
Go ahead and reveal your answers. We have Brody saying 88%. Cal says 63%. One of you is within 3 points of the correct answer. The correct answer is 65.9%.
Guess
Cal
Cal wins.
is on fire.
Man of the people here.
80% of Americans over the age of 40 have had at least one cracked or fractured tooth in their lifetime. The most common foods that crack teeth are hard candy, nuts, ice, popcorn kernels, and bone-in meat. That study I was looking at never said anything about pellets, but I imagine our audience is very familiar with that feeling you boys are describing.
I think you overestimated how many bird hunters we have. I think that's
Yeah,
the,
but ducks, pheasants, turkeys. I mean,
they're all birds.
yeah,
One thing
I
in
know,
common.
I know. Just like I'm a little disappointed.
All right, question 3.
We had the broke 3 gunner saying 67, so good job.
Damn, one
right.
percentage point off. Here's question 3. We'll see if Cal can get the clean sweep and make Brody run around the office naked, as is tradition when
Yep.
you get skunked.
Naked lap.
What percentage of MeatEater listeners have fishing bait in their fridge or freezer right now?
Oh. That's a tough
can
one
tell
for
you
a
I do.
Montana kid.
You
If
do?
that-
What do you got?
Did you already buy your
Worms
leeches?
from the garden?
Got some crawlers and leeches.
How you going to spend those?
What do you mean spend them?
Yeah, like
Where are you gonna use
it's
them?
fishing currency. What are you going to do with them?
Catch a bunch of walleye, hopefully.
Okay.
Maybe some perch.
What percentage of MeatEater listeners have fishing bait in their fridge or freezer right now? I have some deer liver that's earmarked for some catfish on the Yellowstone River later this summer, so I've got some in my freezer. How about you, Cal? Any bait in your home right now?
Well,
Staying cold.
You already asked the question, but I feel like old meat doesn't qualify for this question, or shouldn't.
Oh, I think folks would know if they put it in their freezer for the purpose of catching a fish. They probably answered honestly. What percentage of MeatEater listeners have fishing bait in their fridge or freezer right now?
Okay.
Boys ready?
Yeah.
Go ahead and reveal your answers. We have Cal saying 38 and Brody saying 50. It's a clean sweep for Cal. The correct answer is 34.9%. Cal dominated today. very close on every one of these questions. He's declared it before. He's a man of the people, but this game really proves it.
Phil, will
I just
you
had
take
higher
that
hopes for
sound?
people.
Will you take that Spencer Neuharth sound clip? That might be the nicest thing he ever says about me,
Of
and we need
course.
to memorialize that someplace.
Americans spend $1.5 billion on live bait and natural bait each year. That's 50% more than they spend on lures and flies and 20% less than they spend on boat fuel. Bait accounts for about 13% of all fishing-related expenses.
And Ryan Carlson's at 34.5.
Damn,
He was very close.
0.4 percentage points off. 35% of people who are listening to this show have bait in their fridge or freezer right now. All right, moving on. Our next segment is 1 Minute Fishing.
Choosing bait.
Well, do you, punk?
We'll find out in a second.
Go ahead. Make my cast.
You brought in a ringer here, didn't you?
We're trying to. 1 Minute Fishing is where we go live to someone who's fishing, and they have 1 minute to catch a fish. And if they're successful, we'll make a $500 donation to a conservation group. This week, our angler is Kristine Fischer, a.k.a. Midwest Fisher Gal, on Instagram. She's on 10 Killer Lake in Oklahoma and fishing for a donation to the First Wisconsin chapter of Muskies, Inc. Kristine, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how's it going?
We're doing good. Kristine is pre-fishing for a tournament today. So tell us about the tournament that you'll be competing in.
So I am practicing for the Bassmaster Kayak Open here on Lake Tenko in Oklahoma. I think it's the third Open of the year. I've only fished here one time before. We had a championship here last year, different time of year, but this lake is gorgeous, has big smallmouth, largemouth. I've had a pretty good bite going, but the lake is about 7 foot flooded. The fish are kind of spread out. They're post-spawn. So bites are few and far between, but when you can get them to eat, they're pretty good size.
Okay, tell us about your kayak setup that you got there.
I'm fishing out of a Hobie Pro Angler 14 360. I'm cheating. I got a little motor on the back because, we get lazy in our old age. I have 2 Lowrance graphs up front.
Whoa.
I've got about 15 rods with me right now. I've got a few different patterns going. And trying to just break down this lake. I don't get a ton of practice on this one, but yeah, it's a pretty good setup. I love it. It's comfortable. I can stand up. I usually stand and fish and use these 2 little foot pedals right here are for control steering, so I can set my motor on a mile and a half an hour, stand up, use my shins, just power fish and run a pattern. And it's pretty effective for me.
Amazing little boat. Now, Kristine has fished in 171 kayak bass tournaments. She's placed in the top 10 in 60 of them and took first place in 10 of them. So, Kristine, give some advice to folks listening who want to catch more fish from a kayak.
So the best advice I can give, you got to get out there and do it first and foremost. Kayaks are great because it forces you to kind of really learn an area. So I always advocate for kayak fishing, but I always tell people, fish your confidence, fish your strength. If you hear the dock talk that people are crushing them on a crankbait on a square bill and you don't necessarily love throwing a square bill, you're not going to catch those fish. So I always tell people, when it's tournament time, when it comes down to putting fish in the boat, you need to fish your strength no matter where you're at. Just try to find water that suits your strength. And because at the end of the day, fishing how you like to fish, that makes it a lot more fun too.
Good advice. Now, for the 1 minute of fishing, what kind of area are you in and what kind of lure are you throwing?
Well, so like I said, my big smallmouth, big largemouth bite is few and far between. So I came out to this little island out here in the middle of the lake, and I found some scattered bait. Then there's some white bass. I've actually caught 2 of them while you guys were talking. So I really want to be able to catch just a fish here. So I've got a little paddle tail swim bait, and there's just scattered bait, and there's some white bass kind of cruising in the area. I don't know if I can do it in a minute, but I'm going to try.
Okay, and standing or sitting?
I'm going to sit because if I stand and I'm setting you guys down on my kayak, 90% sure my phone will go in the water. So we don't want to donate a phone to the drink. I've done that a lot. Not today.
That's right.
Is it intimidating to know that all of your tournament experience is culminating right now at MeatEater 1 minute fishing?
I'm not going to lie. I usually don't cave under pressure, but I'm feeling the pressure on this one, you guys. I want the Wisconsin muskie guys to get a little donation because I fish muskies up there all the time, and I mean, this is more important than winning this tournament, honestly, in my opinion.
I love that attitude.
That's
I'm rooting
great.
for you.
All right, Kristine, your 1 minute of fishing starts as soon as you make your first cast.
Okay, I'm gonna set you
Show
guys
us how
down.
it's done.
Okay. Let's see.
Pick your spot. Oh,
all right. She's
I
made her
casted.
first cast. Got an interesting perspective
This is
here.
great.
I've never watched someone fish from the bottom of their feet before.
Don't put this on Feet Finder. I get some creepy comments.
Kristine, you're 15 seconds in. Throwing a little paddle tail. There's some overcast today. Conditions look good. Maybe a slight breeze.
yeah, I like it.
I gotta cast again.
Kristine, 30 seconds to go. She's going to make another cast.
Got time for another cast. I love it. That's some crucial mental game right there.
That's
Do you
right.
keep playing it, or do you recast?
20 seconds to go,
my-
Kristine.
My heart's beating.
10 seconds left.
Smack it!
Need one white bass.
Oh, they just came after.
Oh, she had a bite right at the end. Your 1 minute is up. Tell us what happened there, Kristine.
Man, I had a little group of them right there, and yeah, I didn't catch them. They came after it, but like I said, I've caught 2 here in the last couple minutes, and I think they got smart to what I was doing.
Okay. They knew you were now on the show and not just pre-fishing for the show.
Dang things. I probably just thrown I've been catching these big smallmouth on a big 7-inch swim bait and skipping under docks and around some flooded cover. I probably just should have rolled the dice with that.
I got one last question, Kristine. 10 Killer Lake is known for a mythical freshwater octopus. Have you seen any evidence of the freshwater octopus this week?
No, but I think isn't unagi is an octopus? Isn't that Japanese unagi? That's one of my favorite like sashimi things. So if I do find some,
Okay.
I'll let you guys know how that tastes.
Keep
but
your
no,
eyes
I've
peeled.
not.
I'd love to
Definitely
know more
not,
about that.
Not seeing any.
Okay, the 10 Killer Octopus continues to be elusive. All right, thank you for joining us, Kristine. Good luck in the tournament this week.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Appreciate it.
Good job.
Thanks, bye.
Have you ever seen a kayak like that?
Man, it intense. It's like an arms race of kayaking, like all things.
It's impressive. I mean, there's guys that are like doing offshore blue water fishing in those things.
Oh, big time, yeah.
You know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're halfway through the show. Let's take a break for some listener feedback. Phil, what's the chat have to say?
Leland, our guy, says, Cal, what are you looking forward to most about BHA Rendezvous?
Oh, yeah, we got Rendezvous coming up starting... I'm going to be there all week, but it's June, like 14, 15, 16.
We're at Missoula?
In Missoula, Montana, yep. Great people, fantastic people. We got a bunch of stuff to recap. We got to keep folks motivated on public lands. We got corner crossing cases is getting revived. At this point, I kind of feel like we should be thanking Iron Bar Holdings because
they just keep it.
Yeah, because now it's going to the highest court in the land, which means corner crossing is going to be legal everywhere for certain. And it's going to be on their dime, which is great.
What's kind of the general temperature on that right now? Are people optimistic that they're going to side with the hunters and public land users?
Well, politics shouldn't come into play and stuff like this, right? Like a judge is supposed to be impartial. But I think that is the idea, is that they're going to lean way more conservative and they're going to somehow turn it into a private property rights thing where it just is not, right? It's like you're stepping from public land to public land. There's a couple of bad actors out there that are trying to monopolize public land through the use of strategically purchased private land. But, man, I feel really good about it. I mean, we have 2 federal court decisions.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, the Supreme Court has to find a good reason to not agree with the decisions that were already made.
Yeah, I think there's a high likelihood that the Supreme Court's going to be like, this is not worth our time or the taxpayers' time to review this. We defer to the lower courts.
Sure. So you expect there to be some chatter about that at the BHA rendezvous this
year? I mean, we'll have some panels on all the policy stuff, and that's a huge reason that people show up. We say, like, here you get to follow your cash in person, right? Become a member. This is what you're paying for. This is what we're working on. Here's all the issues that we're working across in North America. Plus, there's really good food, and just it's a refreshing kind of refill your cup type of experience. It's not draining like some of these events that we all put together are. So,
and Missoula's a good place to be in the summer.
Missoula's a great place to be in the summer.
What else you got, Phil?
Spencer, I don't know if you watched the show last week, but there was some debate about if they preferred the Freewheelin' Yanni show or the professional, show that you run. But we've got a lot of people asking for random for hunting stories, for meandering hunting stories.
Okay. You boys have any hunting stories?
Got anything new you haven't shared yet?
I'm just trying to balance the shows out. If we sat around, and I don't want us to just talk about hunting stories every week, so I'm trying to be the yin to Yanni's yang.
And I think that's good. I think it should be a different show, a different flavor based on who's hosting.
I'll tell you this: Yanni is back in one of the host chairs next week. He's on a hunt right now, so expect some hunting stories then. But in the meantime, Cal, Brody, anything to share?
No, man, hunting season's over for me for a while. It's fishing season now.
Garden season.
Yeah.
On that note, Sebastian says, 2 days left of turkey hunting in New York. Run and gun or sit and wait?
Go find him, Sebastian.
New York's a big state. Got to know a little more.
I mean, if you're already on birds, I would say sit and wait.
Especially this time of year,
right?
And things just are slowed down.
Yeah, if you can get them to talk to you one time, I'm like, okay, they know we're here. That's kind of like the best move you can make. So.
But this late in the year, there's probably a lot of vegetation for you to be sneaking around in. What else you got, Phil?
Another one from Sebastian. Any update on the venison beef jerky contest?
Yeah, kind of. It's probably not going to happen, Sebastian. The suits here at MeatEater said we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't invite folks to send us food that we're then going to eat because someone's going to get poisoned and then we're going to wind up in a lawsuit. So I think we're maybe working on a pivot. I pounded the table hard for us to do this. The idea being that we're gonna, bring in 30 venison jerkies from across the country from listeners. We're gonna eat them. We're gonna rank the top 3. We're gonna hand out some big prizes. But the suit says no, you're not. So that's where we're at right now, Sebastian. Maybe later this year, maybe 2026. That's your update.
Russell says he's going out for Idaho Spring Bear, June 13th through 14th. A little later than usual. Should I not use the distress call should I not use the distress call or stay with it? He says he always spots and stalks, but this lady's looking for a cruising boar.
Cal?
Man, yeah, believe me, I don't plug stuff just to plug stuff, but that Phelps fawn and distress call, and you just make it sound like in your mind you want a crying human infant.
Like sick and dying human infant.
Yep. And you just have that. You have that in your mind as you're hitting that call, and you are not going to see like a crazy amount of action, but it weeds out smaller bears. So you're either going to get a big sow or a very confident and should be large boar. Like
could end up happening right in your face too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not afraid to scream on that thing. Love it.
Find yourself a sick baby, Russell.
All right, one more quick one. Cody, can Phil make a new drop for the trivia tiebreaker question? I think you're a plant from Spencer, Cody, because he's also asked for that, and I think I've got some spare time in the next couple weeks. I'll try to knock one out.
Okay. So, yeah, the people are looking forward to it now. He's made a promise on air, so it's going to happen.
Uh-oh.
All right, moving on. Joining us on the line last is Brock Wahl, the founder of the newly formed North American Pronghorn Foundation. Brock, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, we are too. The North American Pronghorn Foundation is the only conservation group that's dedicated to antelope. Tell us about how and why it was formed.
Sure. Yeah. First, I would like to say, too, that there are a couple of state-based conservation groups dedicated to pronghorn in Arizona and South Dakota are the two that I know of. But we are indeed the only nationwide one that is focused on pronghorn throughout North America, the entire continent. So just wanted to make sure that those state-based groups get some love there. But we really got started on Randy Newberg's Hunt Talk forum. There was just kind of a conversation that took place. Some guys are asking why one doesn't exist, and a few of us got together and said, well, there's no better time to start than now. So we filed articles of incorporation in 2024 and got started. And we really felt like, there's a variety of reasons in terms of our why, but everything from, pronghorn populations just struggling a little bit, habitat problems, migration issues, to also just, with the amount of development that's going on and the amount of pressure that, that Western hunting is receiving, there's also just this need to get more resources on the ground, whether that's for pronghorn or sage grouse or mule deer. I mean, there's a whole host of species that benefit from the same landscapes that pronghorn do. So we really just felt like there was just no reason not to have this group, and no reason not to get it started.
And what are the current initiatives of the North American Pronghorn Foundation?
Well, right now, we're still new, so we're just over a month old. We went live on April 21st here of this year, and so far the things that we've been focused on are trying to get some policy comments out there for some BLM stuff and for some migration corridor designations, and then we're also working on trying to set up a fencing project here in Northeast Montana. Not 100% sure if that's going to all come together here this year, but we're super excited about it because we're able to, get some local stakeholders on the ground, both landowners, other conservation groups, and utilize some GPS collar data from pronghorn in that exact area. So we're really hoping to bring that added value to that pronghorn research in cooperation with a bunch of partners. And then, really, I don't know that this will really qualify as an initiative, but really membership growth is a big priority right now. We have some really lofty goals, and we'd really like to be able to do some big things around the entire West. And in order to do that, we're going to need a lot of money. And so membership growth is really something that we're focused on, and really trying to grow that membership so we can take that money, turn it around, and put it right on the ground.
Data shows that pronghorn populations are down about 20% across the entire continent over the last few years. Talk to us about what the greatest challenges they're facing is and why that might be.
Yeah, there's a few things that pronghorn are really struggling with, and one is winters, obviously, and I think you probably wouldn't be correct to say that, well, there's not much we're going to be able to do about winters, and that's true. However, it's when we highlight the fact that winters are increasing mortality, there's a couple of variables there that I think are really important to point out as to what is making those winters, so hard on pronghorn, and certainly. Extreme winters with a lot of snowpack, there's going to be some die-off, and you can't really do anything about that. However, we have examples from other research data, from observational data, anecdotal data from landowners, where they're noticing that during those storms, those pronghorn are trying to migrate, and they're getting stuck in certain areas because of fences or man-made barriers. Or another element would be, maybe their winter range habitat, where they're only planning or intending on being at in the winter is degraded so much or non-existent that they just don't have the nutrition on the landscape to make it through that winter. And related to that, I mean, something that's really interesting to think about when we think about habitat degradation for pronghorn is that in the last 20 years, so I think it was the USDA or maybe it was the USGS that came out with a study, and they looked at sagebrush from the years 2001 to 2020, and over that 20-year time period, they found that Western United States was losing just over a million acres of sagebrush per year, and that's prime forage for pronghorn. It's prime winter habitat. It's prime fawning habitat. So it's things like that we would really like to be able to throw some money on, throw some volunteer power on, and some attention to really get things turned the other direction.
Now, I saw that your first policy action was to support the removal of feral horses from BLM land in Wyoming. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I know this can be a controversial issue, and we certainly don't want to be insensitive to the folks that are really big horse fans. I mean, and we have nothing against horses. I grew up with horses. My mom was really big into horses, and so I'm used to being around them. But it's pretty hard to deny, and there's a lot of published peer-reviewed research that supports this idea that wild horses or feral horses can be really hard on a native landscape. One, because their populations just blow up. They don't really have any natural predators. And so, it's really not uncommon for them to, double their population in a really short period of time on a landscape that is really not suited for them. And so what you end up getting is a lot of damage to sagebrush, a lot of damage to winter range, damage to water infrastructure. And it's just, those horses are out competing native species, particularly pronghorn, mule deer, and sage grouse are really, some of those species that are most affected. And so the BLM has really been on a sort of initiative to try to get this under control and try to remove some of these horses from the landscape so we can start doing some work for the native species that I know a lot of the hunters and anglers like myself really want, and so that we can start making some headway on sagebrush restoration and things of that nature. And so for us, it was really just about prioritizing pronghorn and their habitat over the feral horses that are not native and are and almost everywhere, in every case, they are vastly overpopulated.
Brock, I just spoke with the rancher in California who's got a native population of pronghorn on his ranch. Not huntable, but he's going to join us at Field to Table this year at Rendezvous, so you got to meet up with him and talk. He actually has a fencing business where he goes through and does some of that mitigation work for wildlife passage.
Very cool. Yeah, I'd love to meet him.
Yeah.
Brock, I also read you say that Wyoming has some of the best infrastructure in place for antelope and some other states need to catch up. What does that mean exactly?
Well, I don't want to make that sound like, the other states aren't doing or pulling their weight. I think part of what we're observing here is just the fact that Wyoming is sparsely populated, which gives them a little bit of advantage when they're trying to deal with some of this stuff in terms of wildlife and habitat. But they really have devoted a lot of resources. They've gotten a lot of support for these things on a political level, through a management level and an administration level. And so, they just have the right resources in place. They've had the right support for it, the right public support for it. And I think it's just put them in a position where they're able to utilize, cooperative research unit funding, through the Wyoming Migration Initiative, who's done some fantastic and incredible, really groundbreaking work on migrations for a variety of species. And so I think, when we look at places like Colorado or Montana or Idaho, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, we're starting to see some of that similar migration research and things like that being done. But I really think that what we say when we mean, or what we mean when we say that, is really just to try to get everybody else operating sort of with that same intent to really try to figure out what pronghorn need, where they're at on the ground at different times of year, and what their challenges are. And there's just very few tools out there that will beat a GPS caller to tell you all that stuff.
Last thing, how can listeners support the North American Pronghorn Foundation?
Right now, you can go to our website, which is pronghorns.org. So that's pronghorns with an S.org. And that is our website. You can buy memberships there. You can go to our merch store and order t-shirts and hats, things of that nature. And then we also have an Instagram, which is NAPF official. So NAPF_official. And then you can look us up on Facebook as well. And we really want your membership. Like I said, we are really trying to grow this organization into something that's impactful. And so we would love for you to give us $35 and let us prove to you that we are who we say we are, and we're going to do what we say we're going to do.
Again, that is pronghorns.org. Brock, thanks for joining us, and thanks for sticking up for antelope.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Cal, it's been too long for us to not have a pronghorn federation or foundation at a national level.
Yeah, I mean, for such a crazy, iconic, unique native species, like truly native. It's really wild once you understand how pronghorn are managed differently state to state, or you could say not managed at all.
Sure.
State to state. It's like a giant loophole. So putting some more focus, getting that magnifying glass on this species is certainly needed. And Brock's correct, right? Like that sagebrush ecosystem, our grasslands, we're losing about 2 million acres a year right now. So it's the most imperiled ecosystem in the world, not just the United States.
Again, that's pronghorns.org. Consider joining the North American Pronghorn Foundation. All right, last thing for today is the hot tip-off.
HOTTIP-off. Turn your head and give a cough. What's that face? Don't you scoff. There aren't many words that rhyme with off.
HOTTIP-off. I don't have any hot tips.
Do a hot tip-off. HOTTIP-off. Let's all do a hot tip-off.
Hot Tip Off is where two listeners go head-to-head with competing pieces of advice, and after we hear each tip, we'll declare which one is hotter. If you have a hot tip, take a 1-minute video on your phone and email it to radio@themeateater.com with the subject line Hot Tip Off. This week, it's Matt Short versus Ben Hunter, and they're competing for a copy of Catch a Crayfish, Count the Stars paperback edition, as well as an MKC flat tail knife. And we have a special guest judge joining us today, Stephen Ranella, because these are hot tips about parenting, and Cal and I have yet to reproduce, and you have, so we brought you into the studio to decide who's going to
So you guys, are you guys even voting, or is it?
Well, I think
parents in the room.
the listeners vote.
This is like very identity politics.
Maybe Steve can sway their vote.
I think the uncle
I thought
vote
we were
is-
weighing in, Corey.
Everyone can weigh in.
You can weigh in, but I'm the judge, right? If I'm not, I mean, am I the say or not the say?
Listen,
What do we think?
I'm a parent too, man. I got rights.
We're going to let the chat decide.
Brody's like, that's my truth.
We're going to let the chat decide. Those
sure, yeah.
hundreds of folks are going to vote
Listen,
on it.
before we go,
It's my truth.
both of the people that are competing get a copy, not just one.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
The real prize is
The
this
second real
blade right
prize.
here that they're going to give to their kid, and so their kid can.
yep. Remember, tell your kid, cut toward your buddy and not your body.
Right.
So, Steve, you're going to need to watch the screen behind you.
Oh,
Phil
got it.
is going to play these hot tip-offs. Take it away, Phil.
Benjamin Hunter.
That's quiet.
Wow.
My name is Benjamin Hunter, and here's a hot tip for taking kids fishing. Make your own lures. Go to the thrift store and buy some cheap spoons from the silver aisle. Then go home and cut off the handles with a hacksaw. File off the sharp edges and drill a hole about 1/8 of an inch from each end. Now what you have should look something like this. Now attach a split ring to each end and put a treble hook at the bottom. Tie it off to your line and go fishing. Not only can this be an effective lure, but it is also fun to catch fish on a lure you've made.
It's going to be hard to beat that.
That's
That's
strong.
pretty good.
That's
I don't even want to
strong.
see the other one.
Matt Short.
Hey, what's up, MeatEater crew? My name is Matt Short from Firestone, Colorado, and here is a hot tip. Every parent knows that the success of their outing with kids is dependent on keeping them fed, warm, and dry. But nothing will end your family fishing trip, day hike, upland hunt faster than a bathroom emergency gone wrong. I can't even count on my two hands how many times my own kids' inability to judge when their next valve movement should be has ended one of our trips. That's why I've come up with kid poop bags. Pretty simple concept. Ziploc bag, toilet paper, dog poop bag, right? If you want to get fancy with it, grab yourself some sanitization wipes. If you don't have a dog and don't have readily access to these poop bags, run down to your local park. I guarantee you there's a lovely little dispenser there. You can grab a couple for yourself. I put I put one of these in every single one of my bags. That way I'm always ready. Kid needs to take a dump. I go, great. Drop it on the ground, pick it up like it's a dog, wipe them up, hand sanitize myself. Everything goes back in my Ziploc baggie. I pack it out, and we keep on trucking. Don't let your kids' incontinence or lack of judgment of when is a good time to drop a load end your next family adventure.
Oh, that's got Steve thinking hard.
It's a tie.
We only got one knife, man.
We're gonna have to find another one. I'll give him one of my personal knives out of my personal box of knives.
Wow. You're gonna pick Matt Poop Bag over the little kid who's making his own fishing lure.
Well, I like the kid because he's cute.
Yeah.
The whole thing's cute. It's just cuter than all get out. The whole thing. Making lures, the fact that the kid presented well.
Yeah.
I love everything about it.
Okay.
That's good. I mean, it's all good. So normally, what would happen? Normally, I would watch and I would belittle one of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would be like, but they're so strong.
You're in a good mood today.
No.
And they have DIY components, right?
The material is so strong. And notice the guy with the poop bag. He's also getting into cleanup.
Pack it in, pack
He's
out.
not like, hey, just grab some toilet paper because then you just leave it behind. He's bagging it up when it happens in an inopportune location. There's no way that I can, in good conscience.
That's why the chat is going to vote.
Oh.
Phil, is the chat voting?
I'm voting for the kid.
I didn't put up an official poll. I can if we've got
give us a poll.
another minute.
I'm going to bring in a
here.
personal knife from my personal stash.
Wow.
And
Benjamin, this new one's yours.
Sure, that's the kid, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be
I'm
more
not picking.
special for the kid to have Steve Rinella's knife, though?
Oh, there you go. You could sign it.
I don't care. I'm just not picking between the two.
I would vote for the kid.
Because he's a kid.
Because he's a kid, yeah.
Yeah, but that's identity politics.
Brody, who are you voting for?
I'd vote for the kid.
Because he's a kid.
I'm not down on the other one. You can always dig a hole. And honestly, man, I don't know how many times that's actually happened to me with my kids.
What?
Like a total, oh my God.
Brody just makes them eat a bag of cheese curds before they go out.
Yeah, the poll is up.
It's a hot tip.
It's not
Eat this
like
sack. We're going to fish all day. Eat this sack of curds, no water.
it's just not like something that's happened to me enough times to like.
Well, if I came down, listen, did I come down here? Are we whistling Dixie or am I the judge?
Oh, you can be the judge. Good, it's all you.
I'm going to send him a private personal knife.
The kid.
The kid gets the nice, fancy new knife. I'm going to send the guy
the
something
dull
from my
used
personal
one.
stash. No. I'm going to send him something from my personal stash.
Uncle Cal, what do you think? Who would you pick?
Man, I like them both a lot. They were both super prepared. If I had to pick one, I like the recycling and the packing in, packing out stuff too.
And he's not swayed by the kid being a kid. Today's kids are tomorrow's enemies.
Oh.
That's what they say.
Yeah. I have a running
got a lot
joke
of
where I'm
enemies.
like, I'd like to shove that kid down when I see. I'm like, why can't people?
Because it's easier now than when he gets big.
Why can't the community enforce parenting rules?
Now, granted, I think that if everyone had the same attitude about the poop thing, adults are bigger culprits than kids. I think.
Yeah. Listen,
bigger poops.
The kid. I love kids. I mean, I got
most of them.
Yeah, I mean, like most of the time, I like mine. I like the idea of them. I like mine most of the time. Love them. He did a great job. Presents well.
All right.
Great material.
You have 30 seconds left to vote.
I just can't disrespect the dude. So let the kid win. Let him win. He wins. But I'm sending the guy a little something from the private stash, and he gets a book anyway.
Hey. There's a good reason I'm not a dad, but it is hard for me to fathom picking up a kid's poop out in nature.
Oh.
No, thank you.
I got a story
not
about
interested.
that for you. Not mine.
Listen, after you change a few diapers,
I'm
and
not
get some
interested in
poop
doing
under
that
your,
either.
You get poop under your fingernails.
Nope.
It's not a big deal.
Do I really only have 30? Do I really only have 30 seconds?
He was saying
I just mean for the poll, the people voting.
Oh, can I tell a quick story?
Yeah, go for it.
So one time when I was in high school, we got a job where there's a guy building a log house, and there's this old farmer, old man Burns, and he had a big red pine plantation, and he bought all these red pines from Mr. Burns, who one time on his farm, this is a little side story, a bull killed a kid on his farm one time.
Wow.
Yeah, a bull killed a kid on his farm.
Like stomped on him.
Yeah. So before my time, this is a deep past. He was a pumpkin farmer. I used to go and help him load the pumpkins and drive them down because he sold them to the local grocery stores. Anyhow, this guy buys these red pines from him, but he needs them cut and hauled out and stuck in a field. So we signed a little contract with him where he's going to give us $5 a piece and use a Ford tractor of his to cut, limb, move out to where they can be picked up in a truck and put them up on stickers to get them off the ground. 100 trees, $5 a tree. Well, we get done and we had popped a hole as well as brine-filled tires. We'd hit a stump and put a big hole in the brine-filled tire. We get all done with the job, and he informs us, hey, we're even.
Oh, no.
We're even because it costs so much to buy a new tractor tire.
How old were you?
High school.
Okay.
We go home and tell our dad, and that is just not acceptable to our dad. Our dad gets him on the phone and says, here's what's going to happen with this $500. And then my dad says to us, he's waiting with your $500 at the job site. So we go to the job site, and he's got to give us $500. But you know what the main thing, our main takeaway was? He happened to be there with his grandson, and his grandson had just shat his pants. And as we show up, he's trying to clean up the grandson. And we thought at that time, before we had our own kids, we thought that was the comeuppance.
Oh, you got him.
He had to clean up.
You're like,
some
that'll
poopy
teach you.
pants.
Yeah, like, ha, ha, ha. Right? Now I've done that myself. I don't know how many times.
Oh, so you had something coming to you then.
But I just felt like a punishment worse than losing $500 would be to clean up a child's fecal
And then you
matter.
had kids.
Then I had kids, and then we just eat it now. Just like eat it. Yeah, we're like, just eat it.
Yeah.
That you're just drowning in it. You're drowning in it.
Oh, man.
Not anymore.
You were
Corey will
just telling
tell
me
you.
how
Oh,
great
I'm
kids
right
are.
there with you.
Huh?
You were just telling me how great kids are.
For a while,
You're not
you're just
selling them very
drowning,
well.
and you just drown. It's just everywhere. It's on everything.
They puke a lot.
You just wipe
too.
it on your pants.
Oh yeah. Norovirus every other week.
Yeah, love that kid though. That was great. Thanks for having me down.
With 72% of the vote, Ben, the kid, wins. But
Wow, a landslide.
But we had a lot of people in the chat basically agreeing with Steve, saying that the poop bag's probably a more practical, helpful tip, but the kid kicks ass. So
Yeah, I like
That's
that kid.
right.
Well, as the guy who had to filter through about a dozen entries for this,
Well, listen.
thank you everybody. But this was tough. This
Next
is the
time
top
we
two
can't.
for
We
sure,
shouldn't
but-
mix kids and adults. We should do kids and adults.
Well,
There you go.
That kid
Pit the
seemed
kids
old enough.
against each other.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
the Hunger Games.
Survival of the fittest.
That's good.
Yeah.
Lord of the Flies.
And then eventually you could see if there's a bracket system where the kid could outcompete the adult.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like
Pit the
top
kids
kid,
against.
yeah.
Yeah, pit the kids against each other.
Well done, Ben. Well done, Matt. Thanks for sending those in. Steve, you got time to stick around for the chat?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm having a time of my life.
Oh, okay, great. Phil, what questions you got? This is the end of the show. We'll answer a few questions, and Steve is going to stay around to
Yeah,
to
so
help
if
us
you have
out.
any questions for Steve, get him in there right now. You don't have a lot of time. I would say, let's see, Leland, our guy, once again, favorite way to prepare rainbow trout. Steve, if you've got something.
Oh, you know what's a lot of fun? There's a dish called it's in French. What would be blue trout?
Bleu.
Trout au bleu. Trout au.
That's the
Trout
poaching
au
with
bleu. Yeah.
vinegar one.
where you drop them. It's got to be real fresh and brand new. It's got to still have its nice color, and you make this heavily vinegared, like poaching liquid. And for whatever reason, I don't understand the chemistry of it. When you drop that brand new fresh trout in, like the French will do it where they'll drop they'll like stun the trout and do it. You got to do it that fast, and the trout turns blue. I'm not kidding you. It turns blue, electric blue.
Okay.
True dog blue. If it's like some old trout that's been tied to a string out in the creek, it's not going to do it.
Yeah.
But it's got to
Throw
be
that
like,
one in the smoker.
True dog blue is a lot of fun. Just to watch the thing happen.
It's like a traditional, gut them, leave the head on, stuff their tummy with lemon and herbs, and that just
butter.
looks fun. Just looks nice.
Yeah.
Cal, Brody, anything to add?
Tinfoil packets. I mean, Leland, your program, you're running a bunch of volunteers out there. I'd
lot of
have an
vinegar.
assembly line with tinfoil packets.
Yep.
Yeah,
Lemon, slice of the lemon,
a lot of butter.
a lot of butter.
My dad used to talk about wrapping them in leaves and then packing them in mud and cooking them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'd like to try that sometime.
Phil, what else you got?
Trey asks, well, first he says, I love having bears on my land, but they're starting to tear feeders down. What can I do to keep them around but not have them tear things up?
Remove your feeders.
Bird feeders kill a lot of bears.
Yeah, and birds.
At least,
Oh, is he talking about deer feeders?
I
or bird
imagine he's
feeders?
talking about
Oh.
trying to feed deer.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
well,
I don't know that you're going to dissuade him from that, man.
no way to.
Because you ever see that time they took that dead deer and electrified it?
Oh,
Yep.
that's
And
amazing.
that grizzly bear is like, "Yow!" And then like 5 minutes later, he's like, "Yow!" And he just like eventually he just gets the deer.
Yeah, eventually he just gets angry enough to where he's like, I'm just going to take it.
He starts unplugging stuff.
Yeah, I think if you love having them on your land, you're just gonna have to learn to coexist with them if you got deer feeders out.
What else you got, Phil?
Mogor asks Steve, when was the last time you went on a hunt without cameras or
Last week.
Yeah. I think people think that you are constantly being followed by cinematographers, but you're out there all the time.
Yeah, mostly, I mean, a lot with my kids, so a ton. But generally with my kids. But we just got back from hunting.
How'd that go?
Great. My boy got his first bear.
How many more bears died on that hunt?
Our party had 3.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Our little group had 3, but we weren't all together. I was there for 2 of them. I was
Phil?
present for 2, and I was 300 yards away.
Everything
from the
went
third.
well?
Oh, yeah. We had a great time. Bad weather.
You guys saw some bear lovemaking on that trip, didn't you?
We killed 2 boars that I was there for one, not for the other one. That we watched a boar breed a sow for 20 minutes. I'm not kidding you. You think people think like I'm saying 20 minutes,
Yeah.
like meaning it was 7, but I'm
Yeah.
saying 20. We watched a boar breed a sow for 20 minutes.
Did the 20 minutes end when the boar was shot, or would it
No,
kept going?
I don't know why, but he walked away and started feeding.
Okay.
And
You don't know why he walked away.
No, I mean I shouldn't say I don't know why he walked away, but they would like it was I don't know, I haven't watched enough. Like the first one they watched, the what level of receptivity there and what level of sort of like just there's like a lot of display and a lot of
Foreplay.
well like fitness, I don't know, like fitness.
Yeah.
Like you're like testing fitness, you're like she's like sussing out the cape, whatever, a lot of like theatrics. There were some times like my initial instinct was those 2 boars fighting. Then at a distance when I couldn't see clear, I was like, maybe it's just like 2, cubs always fight. I was like, maybe that's what's going on. Then eventually I'm like, oh no, it's like a mating ritual.
I'm surprised it was that ambiguous. That it
because they were they were obscured. You could just see like a lot of black, like But once we got clear, I mean, we were like,
sure,
we were 60 yards.
Your comment about like perceived time versus actual time.
Yeah.
I ran a little experiment during turkey season, and because you're like, oh, this major saga is playing out, and how we got to allocate the right amount of time to this, and when to move and when not to move. So when I struck the bird, I hit the timer on my phone.
Oh, smart.
Yep.
And then we have this huge saga, like no calling and then not responding and what the hell's going on. And then eventually the bird calls and oh my God, he's coming in and he skirts us. And then lo and behold, there's another Tom down there. And oh, now he's coming in and all these mental gymnastics. The shotgun goes off. I hit the stop on the timer. 13 minutes.
Man, and it felt like way longer.
He shut up on us.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, it's so painful.
You're getting ready to walk somewhere else.
Exactly.
Go get in the truck and on somewhere.
Yeah.
Phil, let's do a couple more before we close this out.
Yeah, sure thing. Nick says, question for Steve. Any plans to do some upland hunting in the near future? And I would rephrase that by saying, Steve, what do you have against upland hunting?
Does hunting bluegrouse count?
Yeah,
sure. Upland bird.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Boy, we did some camping this past weekend, and those blue grouse were doing their thing. Oh yeah,
Well, here they do more of a
everywhere, man. But I was trying to get my boys to sneak up on them, and that noise is so like. You think you know right where they are. You go there, and then you're like, he's over there. You go over there, and you're like, he's over there.
Yeah. You just feel the noise.
Yep.
That dude's struggling with his 4-wheeler again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were in a cool
Honda
spot the
generator.
other day when I was with my little boy, Matthew there. We were in a cool spot where you could hear blues and ruffed at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, we had that. Yep.
And I was like, no, he's doing that with his wings.
Yep.
He's doing that with his mouth, Yeah, I like hunting bluegrass a lot.
Let's do one more, Phil.
Fischer. There was a favorite summer lure for largemouth. It's from Bradley.
We're in Montana. That's a tough one.
Nightcrawler.
Favorite if it are top water friendly conditions, there is nothing more exciting in freshwater fishing than watching a largemouth just explode on a frog. So
can I give some?
That's my
tip?
favorite.
Can I give one from 1985?
Please.
Back when I was a boy, the thing that we most coveted in life was like you get those pre-rigged. It'd be a purple crawler with an orange spot and the 3 hooks.
Yep.
The 3 hooks on it, and it had a snelled loop, like and you'd see them in the bait shop for like 79 cents. Dude, that was the lure.
Sure.
That was the lure, man. We called
They
them
must still make
purple
them.
crawlers.
There you go. So Bradley, favorite again would be anything top water. But if you just want to catch bass, throw a spinnerbait or a worm. That's like Steve said. All right, that's the end of this show. Next week, the MeatEater Movie Club returns with hundreds of beavers. You can stream it on Tubi, Pluto TV, Amazon Prime, Freevee, YouTube TV, and Sling TV. We'll see you guys back here, same time and place next week.